Discipline is who you choose to be. Discipline isn't a one-time act. It's not something you turn on only when you feel like it. True discipline is a decision you make every single day, a choice to become a person who doesn't quit when things get hard. It's not about having talent, luck, or the perfect circumstances. It's about doing the right thing on purpose, again and again, until it becomes who you are. This audiobook is called Daily Discipline because that's what builds strength, confidence, and real results. Everything you want, your goals, your growth, your peace, it all begins with a single choice, repeated daily. You don't need another motivational video. You don't need more hype. You need a system. A reason to stop breaking promises to yourself. Because let's be honest, how many times have you started something only to stop when it got uncomfortable? That pattern ends here. This isn't just another motivational high that fades by tomorrow. This is a new standard. A new identity. If you're ready to become the kind of person who keeps going, especially when it's hard, then keep listening. The shift starts right now. Decide what matters. Cut everything else. Discipline begins the moment you decide what matters. Not when the world gives you permission. Not when everything is perfect. It starts now. Change doesn't happen in the future, it happens the moment you choose to get honest with yourself. You sit in silence and ask, what actually matters? And what's been wasting my time? Most people avoid that question. They stay busy doing things that look productive but mean nothing. They chase distractions, answer every message, scroll endlessly, and wonder why nothing in their life is changing. But the truth is, busy doesn't mean serious. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters. So what matters to you? Ask yourself now. Not later. Because life moves forward whether or not you're ready. You can either shape your future with discipline or let it drift away in distractions. Look at your habits. What are you still doing that brings you no value? What do you keep entertaining? Conversations, habits, thoughts that pull you backward. That's the real work. Discipline isn't about pushing harder. It's about subtracting. Removing the noise so your energy goes to the things that actually move you forward. Want to become unstoppable? You don't get there by accident. You get there with intention. You write it down. You make a list. You decide, this matters. That doesn't. You hold that line. Every time you say yes to what doesn't matter, you say no to what does. That includes every distraction, every excuse, every little moment where you avoid the hard thing by doing the easy one. That's where your power is, in choice. And that's where discipline lives, not in the spotlight, but in the quiet, uncelebrated decisions that build who you are. Cut ruthlessly. Focus relentlessly. You don't need more hours in the day. You need fewer distractions. You don't need to be more talented. You need to be more focused. That's the reality. And it starts with cutting the things that drain your time, your energy, and your future. Discipline means saying no, quietly, firmly, consistently. It means walking away from people who waste your energy. It means shutting off the screen when it's killing your focus. Every time you choose focus over comfort, you win. Maybe no one sees it. Maybe no one claps for you. But that small act. That's how you build power. That's how you start trusting yourself again, because once you trust your own word, you stop needing approval from others. You stop second-guessing yourself. You know you're serious. You know you mean it this time. So ask yourself, what are the 5 things I need to stop doing today? Not next week. Not when it's convenient. Right now. Be honest. How do you spend your mornings? What do you do when no one's watching? That's your real life. And if your daily actions don't align with your goals are just wishes. People say they want success, peace, progress, but they live in a way that invites failure, stress, and stagnation. Discipline is the bridge between what you say and what you actually do. It closes the gap between intention and action. Build your life, one choice at a time. Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about being consistent. It's about being real with yourself. You don't need the perfect mood or the perfect plan. You just need to decide what matters, and then protect that decision with every action you take. Build your life brick by brick, choice by choice. Every time you remove something that doesn't serve you, you make space for something that does. That's how you grow. That's how you stop doubting and start believing in yourself again. So no more waiting. No more hoping the conditions will get better. They won't. But you can. Right now. Discipline starts today, with one clear choice. Then another. Then another. Until the old version of you is gone. And the disciplined, focused, unstoppable version remains. Your life is waiting. Are you ready to choose it? Do it scared, because waiting doesn't work. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be real. That means showing up when it's hard, not just when it's easy. Solid people, solid lives, solid results, none of these are built in comfort. They're built in resistance, in the moments when quitting feels easier than continuing. But if you're tired of always starting over, then stop giving up every time things get difficult. That's the truth most people won't tell you. Winning isn't about avoiding pain. It's about pushing forward through it. Most people quit when things get boring, or inconvenient, or uncomfortable. But if you want to be different, if you want to rise, you have to stop quitting just because the moment isn't ideal. Your best days won't always be the ones where you feel amazing. Some days, you'll feel tired, uncertain, unmotivated. But if you still act, if you still move, you're already winning, because most people won't. See, resistance isn't a wall meant to stop you, it's a test. A chance to separate yourself from the crowd. A chance to prove who you are. Will you only take action when it feels good? Or will you push forward when it's uncomfortable, messy, and uncertain? That choice defines your future, not your dreams, not your goals, but how you respond to difficulty. And remember, you don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to feel fearless or confident to begin. You just need to do something. Take one step. One action. Right now. Not later. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. Now, because the second you choose action over hesitation, you take back control of your life. You don't have to wait until the fear goes away. You don't need the perfect moment. Momentum doesn't start after fear disappears, it starts the moment you act despite it. That's where strength is built. That's how discipline is formed. And that's the path forward. The moment your mind screams, not today, and you act anyway, that's the moment champions are made. It's scared. Fear doesn't vanish with time. It grows stronger when you avoid it. The longer you wait, the deeper its roots get. Fear feeds on hesitation. You break fear by doing the very thing it wants you to avoid. That's courage, not acting without fear, but acting with it still present. Most people think courage feels strong, calm, and prepared. But real courage often feels like shaking hands, a racing heart, and a mind full of doubt, and still taking that first step. You don't need to be fearless to grow. You just need to value your future more than your fear. That's where the shift happens, when you stop letting fear drive your decisions, and you start moving anyway. It might not feel great the first time. You might stumble. You might be terrified. But what you'll gain is proof. Proof that you can act under pressure. Proof that fear doesn't control you anymore, and that proof. That's what builds confidence. That's what builds freedom. Not the kind you talk about, the kind you feel when you move through fear and realize, I survived it. You stop needing to wait. You stop needing to feel ready. You stop needing approval. And you start living. It's scared. That's how everything changes. Post about your discipline. What you do alone defines you. Discipline isn't what you show others, it's what you show yourself when no one is watching. It's not in the pictures you post or the quotes you share. It's in the decisions you make behind closed doors. Do you hit snooze? Skip your workout? Avoid the task you promised to finish? Or do you honor the commitments only you know about? That's the difference between wishful thinking and real change. True discipline is built in solitude. It's about the standard you set for yourself, not when it's convenient, but when it's difficult, boring, or inconvenient. If you want your life to change, raise your standard. Not for show. Not for applause. But because you want to live with integrity. And no, this isn't about perfection. You're going to slip. You're going to make mistakes. That's part of the process. The key is not to lie to yourself about those mistakes. Own them. Learn from them. Adjust. Then move forward with more strength, not shame. Discipline starts with honesty. Being honest with yourself builds inner power. When you stop justifying your excuses and start doing what you said you would do, your confidence grows. You don't need applause because you've got proof, evidence that you follow through. That you're becoming someone you can count on. And that's how self-respect is born, not in loud moments, but in quiet consistency. Keeping promises to yourself is hard. But so is living a life where you don't trust your own word. That's the real choice, the temporary discomfort of discipline or the long-term pain of inconsistency. Only one of those leads to peace. Only one makes you proud of who you are becoming. When you start stacking those promises, day after day, you change. You carry yourself differently. You speak with clarity. You stop needing external validation because you've earned internal proof. That's not ego. That's earned pride. Discipline is not about forcing yourself to be perfect. It's about doing what you said you'd do, especially when it's hard. If you said you'd wake up early, get up. If you committed to 1 hour of focus, deliver. Not because it's easy, but because your word matters, and when your word becomes unshakable, so does your identity. You build a disciplined life not from outside pressure but from internal conviction. It's not glamorous. It won't get instant likes. But it will give you something more powerful: consistency, clarity, and self-trust. The world is loud. But discipline is quiet. It's built in early mornings, quiet nights, and unseen efforts. When nobody's clapping and you show up anyway, that's where real growth begins. So post about your discipline if you want, but make sure it's true when no one's watching. That's the version of you that lasts. That's the one who wins, unstoppable. Build your identity through discipline and routine. Becoming unstoppable doesn't happen in one bold leap, it happens in the quiet moments when no one's watching. It's the decision to show up even when you don't feel like it. That's when your identity begins to shift. You're no longer just someone who tries, you become someone who finishes. And that shift doesn't just affect one part of your life. It follows you into everything: your mindset, your work ethic, your relationships, your results. To reach that point, you need to fall in love with the process, not the result. You won't always feel motivated. Some days will be dull, draining, or downright discouraging. But you always have a choice: choose discipline over delay. Take a small step instead of doing nothing. Follow through when your mind screams to quit. These decisions build strength, consistency, and belief. At first, showing up feels forced. But the more you do it, the more it becomes who you are. Discipline stops being a chore and starts becoming your character. It's not about how you feel in the moment, it's about who you want to become. Ask yourself that every time resistance shows up: who am I training myself to be? If the answer is strong, focused, and disciplined, then act like it. That's what makes you unstoppable. But if your routine is broken, your mindset will soon follow. Your routine shapes your energy, your focus, and your thoughts. Wake up scattered, and you'll spend the whole day chasing clarity. End your day distracted, and you'll wake up feeling foggy. A weak routine invites chaos into your life, and over time, that chaos becomes your normal. Your energy dips, your motivation vanishes, and your confidence crumbles. Most people don't connect their mental fog or frustration to their daily habits. But the truth is, if your structure is weak, your progress will be, too. One powerful way to take back control is to fix your routine before it ruins your mindset. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be consistent. One small improvement in the morning, one intentional step at night. Build a rhythm that supports you, not sabotages you. Stop scrolling before bed. Start waking up with intention. Set boundaries for your focus. Create time for clarity. When you take your routine seriously, everything begins to shift. You feel more capable, more organized, more in control. You stop waiting for motivation and start depending on discipline. Not because you have to, but because you've trained yourself to. Discipline, consistency, and structure create the foundation for your identity. When you live by your own word, daily, not just when it's easy, you stop seeing yourself as lazy or unmotivated. You build proof. And that proof becomes belief. You don't need to change your entire life overnight. Just start by fixing the one habit that's been hurting you. Do what you said you would do. Keep your promise. Show up for yourself, one decision at a time. That's how real change happens. Not through hype. Through habit. Not by talking about it, but by living it. That's how you become unstoppable. Stay the course. The power of quiet discipline. You don't have to wait until you're in the mood to take action. The real measure of your progress isn't how far you still have to go, it's whether or not you can follow through today. That's the part you control. Can you honor your word when it's boring? Can you choose discipline over excuses when no one is watching? If the answer is yes, that's something to be proud of. Progress doesn't always feel exciting. In fact, most days it won't. It will feel repetitive, uneventful, even dull. But don't confuse boredom with failure. This is what real growth looks like. Not thrilling highs, but quiet consistency. And when you learn to keep showing up, even without a spark of motivation, you start building something deeper than results. You build trust in yourself. You won't grow by chasing quick wins or constantly needing to feel entertained. That's what keeps people stuck: scrolling, snacking, skipping the hard stuff. But those escapes drain your focus and delay your progress. They give you temporary relief but rob you of long-term strength. If you want to break free from that cycle, you need to stop running from boredom and start using it, because on the other side of boredom is resilience. Every time you push through the monotony and keep going, you send your brain a new message: I can be trusted. I do what matters, even when it's uncomfortable. That's how identity shifts. Not by talking about who you want to become, but by proving it daily. You stop being the person who quits when it gets hard. You become the person who finishes what they start. The truth is, repetition creates power. The same actions, over and over, build a rhythm. A strong identity doesn't come from motivation, it comes from patterns. From doing the work so consistently that your old excuses no longer feel natural. Suddenly, you're not trying to stay disciplined anymore, you are disciplined. It's who you've become. This process isn't glamorous. It won't always feel rewarding. But every day you stick to it, you get stronger. You get clearer. You build real confidence, not hype, but belief grounded in evidence. You've shown up. You've followed through. And you did it without applause or attention. That's what separates the consistent from the inconsistent. The ones who make lasting change are not the ones who always feel fired up. They're the ones who show up, even when they don't. And if you stay the course, day by day, the shift will happen. Your old habits won't feel like home anymore. Your new standards will feel normal. That's when you know you've changed. So when boredom hits, don't panic. Don't run. Don't quit. Pause, breathe, and remember why you started. Do the work, again. That quiet repetition is where the magic is. Keep showing up until the version of you who used to quit becomes someone you don't even recognize, and that version, the focused, disciplined one, that's who you really are.